Hey, Kate, what did you eat last night?
I had a bunch of leftover vegetables that I had in the fridge that I had grilled the night before. So I had some sweet potatoes and broccoli, and then I had these grilled plantains that I then toss with some orange juice and a little bit of honey and some palm sugar and something else I can't remember, but salt and pepper also, so it's sort of sweet and savory at the same time. So it was a cleaning out of the fridge kind of evening.
Nice.
How about you? What do you have?
I had Caesar salad with salmon.
You sound sad.
It was sad because I know it was really good to have, but of course I just really wanted to have the pasta dish, which had lots of cheese in it. But I didn't, so that's what I ate.
Yay! Very good. Good job.
I know. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of You Won't Believe What I Ate Last Night. I am Rick Fiore.
And I'm Kate DeVore.
And this is our ongoing conversation about food, health, weight management, and our endeavor to be and stay healthy in a really tasty world.
With love, kindness, and compassion towards ourselves and others.
Come on, admit it. You know you do it.
That's right. Today we're talking about snacking, late night snacking in particular. So we have some tips for healthier snacking.
Some tips for snacks that you should avoid at all costs.
And some conversation about identifying what you're really hungry for and working from that place. So enjoy. So Rick, where do you stand on late night snacking?
Oh, that's a tough one. I have done a lot of it, so I feel as though I have a lot of experience. And it's something I'm always sort of like confused on because I sometimes will eat very late and then I sometimes wonder, well, is that late night snacking? I'm not one to particularly get up in the middle of the night and snack, but yeah. But I
think that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I think like getting up in the middle of the night to snack. I have a friend, I'm not going to say who it is, but who's super, super, super skinny, who has some weird thing where she will get up in the middle of the night and eat like insane amounts of food, a whole jar of peanut butter or something. Yeah.
Does she know she's doing it?
I'm unclear on this. I'm also unclear as to how she remains as skinny as she does, given this whole situation.
I like that idea. I wish I had that problem that I was sort of like sleep eating. That'd make me so happy.
Why?
Well, I guess I thought if I thought my sleep eating started at like 7 p.m., then I'd be happy.
Oh.
Then I wouldn't have to justify or explain anything about eating when it gets late.
I see. So I think we're taking that part out of the equation. I think we're talking about it's after dinner, we're sitting around, we're watching TV.
Totally.
We're not particularly hungry even, maybe, and yet...
There it goes. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Oh, it's a horrible thing. I was just thinking this morning about the fact that I have a hard time eating really early in the morning ever, but especially if I've snacked the night before. And I was just remembering this morning an Oprah comment from many, many years ago of her saying something like, oh, you know it's bad when you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry because you're still full from the night before. You know you're not eating well when that's what's going on. And this morning, that happened to me, and I was like, oh, damn it.
God.
Yeah. And I was like, you really should be hungry when you wake up. And if you're not, I think that's a sign that perhaps, yeah.
Totally. I'm quite often not hungry when I wake up.
Yeah. Well, I think, a lot of people don't like to eat as soon as they wake up anyway. But yeah, I do think that can be a problem from the eating too late. So, right. And the reason we are doing this entire episode is because we had a question from one of our listeners, Lou, which we're going to play for you right now.
Hi, Kate and Rick. My name is Lou. I love your show. I am a chronic late-night snacker, and I would love to hear your ideas on how I can do that in a more healthy way, or even ignore the cravings. Thanks.
Such a great question, Lou. Thanks for taking the time to send that in. I was thinking, when I got this question and we started talking about this episode, it really made me think about late-night snacking, and I do remember very many years ago, and this was a thing that happened quite a bit in our family, is that we would come home late. And one of the major things that we would be doing is we'd come in late and we would make these steak and cheese sandwiches. There was this box of terrible meat called Steakums, and they'd be frozen.
I remember Steakums.
Steakums were good. And we'd get them out and we'd fry them up with a little like cheddar cheese, just those American slices, and then like tons and tons of mayo and lettuce and onions. And we'd always come home, make them, and think that our parents never heard. And of course, the next morning, my mom would be like, "Who was in the kitchen last night at 1 a.m.?" That's my fondest memory of it.
And why does it smell like fake meat in here?
Exactly. What were Steakums made of? I would love to know at this point.
No, you wouldn't. I don't think you would. I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't think you would. Well, and both of us come from a theater background where you do eat late, like, because you can't eat really a proper meal right before you go on stage. So if you have a show, you have to eat sort of in the mid-afternoon,
Right.
and then you're starving after the show. So a lot of people eat a meal at 11 o'clock, which isn't the same as snacking. But I think that it sticks with you.
Yeah, totally. One of the things I was looking when I was thinking about this episode is it's so interesting how there's a lot of stats out there that obviously, talk about eating late. Where do you fall on how bad eating late is? Because you can find both point of views that, it doesn't really affect weight gain or it does affect weight gain. Where do you fall on that?
I think for me at least, I think it's bad. I think it's bad on a lot of levels, partly because I've usually already eaten the right amount of calories for the day before that. So they're extra calories. So that's one thing.
Right.
The other thing is it's just not good metabolically or digestion wise to eat close to bedtime. And then, like we just talked about, then I might not be hungry in the morning. And if it were up to me, I wouldn't eat until the afternoon. So then I eat all my calories sort of from the afternoon until bedtime, which is, I think, the opposite of the way most people would say it's ideal to do it.
Yeah, totally.
What do you think?
I mean, one of the things we know is that we can tell you about late night snacking is what's challenging about it on the system, right? Is that what you just said, if these are extra calories, that's a big, tough one, right? And then the other idea is that if you're already starting to shut down for the night and going to bed, the minute you start to eat, it basically revs up your whole system again. It's sort of like, that game Mousetrap where, oh my God, that's such an old game, but you drop like a ball at the top and then it would just start this chain reaction of stuff all the way down to the board game.
It's a Rube Goldberg device.
Really?
Yeah, that's the term for those things where like the ball falls on this and then the thing falls and then that happens. And then, it's called a Rube Goldberg device. But Mousetrap was the game from the 70s.
This is why I love you. You're Ruth Goldberg. I'm Mousetrap. Awesome.
It's the same thing. That's my dad. My dad liked those.
And so that's how your system works, is that once you start putting food in, the amount of energy that it has to start to expend to start processing that food, not only does it start to keep you up, but it actually requires just an enormous amount of energy. And sometimes your body doesn't have that energy to sort of process that food at late at night, which is why it can be challenging.
Yeah. And if you're going to stay up 5 hours after the snack, it's less of a big deal. But I think going to bed on an empty stomach is not good on a lot of levels. Yeah.
And that's a great question. So the other thing to think about is if your late night snacking is extra calories, or if you're trying to watch what you eat, sometimes what happens, particularly for me, is I'm eating well during the day that I actually probably haven't consumed enough calories during the day, which is why I'm actually hungry late at night. I can remember 1 or 2 times that I actually got woken up because I was hungry. But a lot of times I'll go to bed when I'm eating really well and I'm in a good place. Like, it's really great if I go to bed at like 10:30. That's optimal for me because regardless of what happens in my life, I'm always up at like 6 or 6:30. So if I'm eating well and eat dinner around 6 or 7, I can get to bed by 10:30 and that's all good. But if I eat dinner around 6 or 7, then I'm still up at midnight. Like I'm hungry. It's tough.
Totally. Yeah. And those are a couple of the tips. One is don't deny yourself during the day because restriction is a trigger to make you want to do that late night snacking. So one of them is make sure you do eat enough calories in your proper meals.
Right.
Yeah. Totally.
And it seems like one of the other consistent things that comes up from everything I read was that if we are going to snack late at night to try and keep it under 200 calories, like that seems like a reasonable number. Small,
and we're
dainty.
gonna in a little bit it is dainty. We're gonna give you some suggestions for actual foods and ways to handle it. And one of the ideas is if you know you're gonna snack late at night, actually plan it. Pre-plan it, know what you're gonna have it ready, have it in the house. Accommodate for it in your calorie intake for the day. And that's a big one. And speaking of having it in the house, one of the obvious tips is, and this works really well for certain people in certain contexts, is don't have it in the house.
Me.
So a lot of times for me, that's really true. I can't keep certain foods in the house. I can't keep peanut butter in the house, for example, or I will just eat spoonful after spoonful as I just wander by. So, don't have it in the house. But I happen to know that Lou has the unfortunate situation of having a convenience store in his condo building.
Oh,
so
my
he can
God.
always run down and get crap to snack on at any hour. I don't know how late it's open, but still. So that's a bummer. And then if you live with people, because I know that you in the past had when you used to live with your sister and you were trying to watch your weight, the cupboard would be full of Doritos. And that's just like, how do you handle that? And I know a lot of people who have kids and other people in the house. Like, it's really hard if someone else's food is in the house. So it's a lot easier. Like, if you live on your own and don't have a store in your building, then it's all well and good to say don't have it in the house. But it's not that simple always.
Yeah, I'm that way, particularly with ice cream and chips. I really work not to have them in the house. Now, I do remember many times late at night, I will run out at like 11 to the 7-Eleven and get my little ice cream.
God love you.
It's crazy. The amount of effort I've spent going out for food sometimes is ridiculous, but I think overall it balances out that I don't have it in the house because, if you're going to go out and get it, it means you really want it.
Mm-hmm. I used to do that for cigarettes back in the day when I smoked, but not for food.
I forgot that you smoked.
Yeah, I was hardcore. I loved it.
I remember that smoking Diet Coke.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
That's sort of how you know God exists.
Smoking Diet
Pretty
Coke.
much.
Diet Coke from the fountain sodas that we revealed several episodes ago are loaded with fecal matter, remember?
Fun
That's
times.
what we thrived on in college, yeah.
Hey, Kate, did you know that the oldest evidence for soup is from 6000 BC and calls for hippopotamus and sparrow meat?
Did they seriously find a recipe from 6000 BC? How do they know that?
I don't know. It was just on interestingfactsaboutfood.com or something like that.
Interesting. Hippopotamus and sparrow meat.
Poor babies. Let's talk a little bit about one of the things you have to do when you realize if you're hungry, you have to sort of determine, is it a physical craving, or is it an emotional thing going on?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I very rarely experience the physical. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I might see, that's the thing. Physical meaning it's usually not about being hungry, but it might be a physical craving. And I'm really not sure where I really want something salty. Not necessarily, you know what I mean? So I don't know where that line is, frankly.
Right.
In some ways, between the emotional and the physical thing. But I do feel the one sort of piece of advice that I have, if it could be called that, about if it is a physical thing, is to figure out what it is exactly. If it is something specific, figure out what it is. Is it that you want salt or sugar or something crunchy? And if there is a really specific thing that you're looking for, to try to have something that has that thing in it so that you don't just eat everything in the house because you're still not satisfied.
That's awesome advice. Yeah, exactly.
And then they say if it's an emotional craving, you're supposed to wait 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the major counsel that I found on that.
And that's really hard for me to wait 10 minutes. I just sort of go right for it. But yeah, I haven't really gotten to the habit of late at night, or even like really after 7 or 8, if I'm experiencing anything in relation to food, I'm not in the great habit of like waiting to see if it'll pass or meditating on it. I tend to go right for it. I tend to be much stronger in the mornings and the afternoons about if there's something coming up about I'm having a craving and it's definitely emotional. I'm far better about being able to sit on it and wait it out. Nighttime's just way tougher for me.
Yeah, me too. And I wonder if that's because the late night stuff is usually I'm no longer working at that point. So it's like, that's my me time. And so I wonder if it's like, now I get to do what I want. If there's an element of reward, And during the day, it's like, I'm a little more disciplined because my whole day is a little bit more disciplined than those couple of hours before bedtime, if I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of non-working hours before bed.
Totally.
Yeah, so some of the other things that they suggest.
the other host of our podcast, they.
Exactly.
We really have to
right.
have
Rick,
them
Kate, and
contribute more. Physical
they
work,
need to speak
editing.
up. They need to they need to get on the research. Janice, do you hear that? So you can do something with your hands. Like if you do something physical with your hands, like knit or anything else that you're doing with your hands, and your hands aren't available for the snacking.
Knit! Like knitting's not weird enough, but then you're going to do it late at night, please.
Apologies to the knitters.
I have a thing about knitters. Many of my friends in the yoga community understand this.
Oh, right. That's true. That is a thing. They say you can read or do something that you find comforting because perhaps the desire to snack is a desire for comfort. So if you can find another way to comfort yourself other than eating, like taking a bath or something like that, or reading a book that you like or something, that would be potentially helpful.
The other thing I came across was organize a closet, which to me I get. But the whole idea is, to me, that's sort of the same thing as my system starts to get revved up. Like, this is a fine balance of whatever you commit to. It's got to be the type of thing that hopefully will, quell you a little bit, get you to calm down, like doesn't get you engaged in another activity that just keeps the mind racing.
I would give anything to be somebody who could clean and organize in lieu of doing other things. Like, those are just the hardest things in the world for me. The idea of saying that is like, you might as well say, go change the oil in your car at 10:30. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to. This is a good one. This actually does work for me sometimes, is brush and floss your teeth.
Yes.
Because I find that annoying. And so if you do it, you're unlikely to want to do it again. So that's a possibility. It seems like such a cheap solution, but it actually can be helpful.
That works for me a lot. Kate and I just had this discussion off podcast about my mouth protocol in the evening and the morning. It's so lengthy that once I do that, I'm done for the night.
God love you. Yeah, he has a whole series of things that he does, bless his heart, and it's I am in awe of the dedication.
And it's all there because I have a dysfunctional relationship with my dentist. So there you go.
We'll save that for another day because it's interesting. One of the other things they say is, are you bored? If you're just bored, realize that you're bored and do something to be unbored other than eating.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's a possibility. Is it that you can't sleep? And if so, look into melatonin or kava kava or other natural sleep remedies. Magnesium in the evenings is good to help you sleep.
Turkey. I'm just saying, I don't eat meat, but turkey. Couple slices, they say, is under 200 calories with enough tryptophan that could actually put you to sleep.
I believe that's been debunked a little bit, but it would actually be not a bad snack, really, in some ways. It might be a little more protein, but it would rev you up. But yeah,
I like
not
the
so
idea
bad.
of eating turkey at night. Even though I didn't eat turkey anymore, I get why you'd want to do it.
One of the ones I like that I thought was hilarious is that you should, and I don't mean to mock this because it could potentially be useful, but the image of it made me laugh really hard, is that you should talk to yourself in the mirror about what you're going to eat. Like, actually look at yourself in the mirror and be like, Kate, I'm about to have some peanuts or whatever.
Rick, you are about to eat the entire thing of Ben and Jerry's.
Mm-hmm. It could be useful. It just still makes me laugh. One of them also was to get naked. I'm not sure what the point of that one is.
Oh, gosh. Well, I sort of sleep naked anyway, so that's not going to help me.
Well, yeah, but do you lounge around before bed naked on the couch?
No, I don't, because I have a leather couch.
Exactly. Whatever the fabric is, it would have been the same. Right. Yeah. Clean the house. Yeah. So if you are going to snack, then let's talk about, we have a little segment that we talked about that I love saying this: good snack, bad snack. Like, what are some good snacks and what are some not so good snacks?
My first bad snack, when I was researching this part, I came across this thing where college students weigh in and they basically talk about their late night eating habits. I got lost on it for hours because it was so funny. So here's my first bad late time eating snack. It says, I had a few slices of turkey and some s'mores Pop-Tarts, made a sandwich. My girlfriend is a pretty big hater, but I'd recommend it if you're ever in a bind.
S'mores, Pop-Tarts, and turkey. Ugh. Does not sound good. All right. So a good snack, I don't know. I guess we're just going to alternate these. I don't know. But a good one is popcorn without butter.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that is helpful for popcorn, so the problem is popcorn with nothing is just ridiculous. There's no point. So you need salt and you need flavoring, and therefore you need a liquid for those things to stick. So lime juice can really be good.
Mm-hmm.
So a little lime juice, salt, and chili powder on popcorn is actually, especially if it's air popped, or I suppose popped in a small amount of healthy oil, is a good one.
Yeah, and on that, the thing you want to avoid are those prepackaged microwave things of popcorn,
right?
Because it contain those. Not only do it contain the really bad trans fats, but they line their bags with, I don't even know how to say it, but it's PFO8. It's the same toxic material found in Teflon pots and pans, and that's what helps it pop. I know, right?
Seems peculiar.
And unnecessary.
That. Yeah. And then the bad snack version of that is one of my old-time favorite late night snacks is popcorn with like an entire stick of butter on it.
Oh my God. See, that sounds really good.
Of course it is.
Really good.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I go put on my popcorn right now.
Yeah. Crudité vegetables with a salty seasoning dip is good. So I've had just like mini carrots with like a salty, like a, not a dip so much as seasoning, like something you put on salads. What do you call it? Just a seasoned blend or whatever. But I have one that's like salt, pepper, garlic, onion, and a little lemon peel. And if you dip vegetables into that, it's super satisfying if you're craving crunchy saltiness.
That's good. I tend to, if chips are around, I'll eat those at night. And the other thing that I tend to snack on at late night is this really terrible cheese whiz dip. So basically any type of cheese whiz dip that comes in a can and has that really terrible orange color, not so great. Should definitely avoid it.
Yeah. Or also, if you melt Velveeta and salsa in the microwave and then use Fritos to dip that, that's not so good.
Kate, remember the days of Velveeta and salsa? Mm-hmm. I love that dip with really soft cream cheese and then you mix salsa in. That's also really good.
Sounds horrible. Delicious. Totally. A single piece of hard candy would be good if you want something sweet and something to just do with your mouth for a little while. So like one piece of candy is a good choice.
Yogurt's going to be another really great choice. It'll fill you up. It's not going to be tough to digest on the system.
Yep.
Hey, Kate, did you know that Pringles once had a lawsuit against it trying to prove that they weren't really potato chips?
No, it's fascinating that anyone would care enough to make a lawsuit about that.
At least
when
the
they're
potato chip industry,
obviously
right?
not potato chips. Right. I guess that's true. It wasn't just a guy. Probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. Herbal tea, ginger tea, like fresh ginger tea. I'll sometimes just steep actual ginger or mint leaves in water. Those are good.
And another good one are apples with a little bit of peanut butter on them. And I also sometimes have done toast with a little bit of peanut butter on them. The toast can sometimes be a little bit hard for me to, digest, but along with the apples too, I don't do too much crudité at night because it can be a little hard on my system to process.
Yeah, the vegetables. To me, toast and peanut butter, that's too much. That's too carby, that's too fatty, and I can't put that in the good category. I read this one that I actually want to try. It reminds me of the Master Cleanse thing, which is they said hot water with a little lemon, ginger, cayenne, and maple syrup in it.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is really interesting because it would satisfy a whole bunch of different tastes. And if you have something spicy, that's actually really satisfying and it ups your metabolism. Lemon and ginger, good for you. And, I think that one sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, that does sound good. One of the other things I found on this website about terrible late night meals was someone said, I had ramen and another friend of mine had Pop-Tarts. I ended up putting the Pop-Tarts on both sides of the uncooked brick of ramen noodles and eating it like a sandwich. Can you imagine?
So all of these college people are eating Pop-Tarts. Your other one was Pop-Tarts and turkey. Totally. Now it's Pop-Tarts and raw noodles. That's disgusting.
I wonder how much of them are high to put that combination together.
I was going to say
that sounds like a high meal, doesn't it?
Be. It definitely sounds like a high or super drunk meal for sure. Yeah, good heavens. Yeah.
The other one I have done before is eggs. I'll do eggs. Usually hard-boiled eggs are a great thing to have in the fridge and pull out, so I'll do those. And then also there's been many times where I've made actual eggs at night, like scrambled eggs, because they're really good on the system, a little bit of protein, and I'll actually throw some cheese in, and they're easy for me to digest.
Yeah, that is a good one. A large egg is only 70 calories and lots of protein. It's good. Totally. I have something called Bovril, which is, I think you can only get it in England, but it's sort of like beef stock. So it's like a bouillon. But you add hot water to it, so like a beef bouillon. And then I put some fresh ginger in it, and it's really salty. So the salt and the ginger and the beef flavor together makes it feel like a soup. So like a cup of soup type thing. So any sort of little soup, not like a canned soup that's totally filled with sodium, but making something like that.
And the other thing I'm going to throw in on that sort of soup or that sort of saucy mentality is smoothies too, if you really control what you put in them. You can make a little bit of a smoothie, a little bit of yogurt, and maybe some, like, I'm trying to think of what else I would put in it at night, but definitely I would put maybe a few berries in it, maybe a little bit of banana. Really easy way to digest. That would be some easy stuff to digest for me.
I'm never going to make a smoothie for a late night snack, though. I just would never do it. There's no way. Yeah. I think savory. I usually want savory for me personally. I know some people go toward the sweet, but for me, I incline towards savory and salty.
Yeah, I go towards salty.
So something that's really flavorful. So things with ginger and garlic and spice, for me personally, are helpful. Graham crackers are a good one.
Yeah.
You just have to not eat too many.
I was just going to say there's a lot of crackers out there that can be healthy. They're a really easy thing to have around.
Yep. A little bit of dark chocolate.
And also just in the snack category of all the ones I found the least harmful are pretzels. I like to keep a really good brand of pretzels around because, I tend to not eat too many of them. And they also can digest on the system pretty okay late at night.
Yeah, anything that I have this bag of like dehydrated, crisped up fava beans from England. And it's a long story, but I have them. And they're tasty, but you really only need a couple. And it's perfect. So if you can find, like, I had a conversation with my friend Star once about wishing they would come up with slightly gross peanut butter. So it would be good enough that you could eat it, but not good enough that you would want to eat it all the time.
Right.
Which I think they did. It's that PB2 dehydrated peanut butter, which I can keep in the house, actually. But so, like, if you can find something that, like, satisfies the craving, but you don't love, that's a good thing because you won't binge on it. You won't eat too much of it.
Exactly. Totally.
Frozen bananas make a great ice cream in the food processor.
You can do that right after you make your eggs or your smoothie. Can you imagine?
There you go.
I just have this image of being up all night making one meal after another in an attempt to satisfy my craving.
Yeah, imagine. I can't imagine that.
I've never done that. Avocado, I've done a couple times. So if I'll have an avocado, cut that open. And particularly if you can find some decent crackers. I won't use that with chips because, or even crudité because it's too hard on my system at night. And just the pure avocado, no, I don't really put anything hard in it, any onions or anything, or any garlic.
No, I like Worcester sauce on the avocado to help it along.
Nice.
But see, if I'm going to have that, I need something crunchy to go with it, like either toast or a cracker or something like that.
Right.
Which I often don't keep in the house. Like I can't keep cereal in the house either. There's just certain things I know that I will when I used to keep cereal in the house, that was a go-to snack for me, which was a problem.
And it is one of the most popular late night snacks listed whenever you do any type of research. Everyone's always going for the cereal. So yeah, if you're going to do it, you want to avoid having the sugary cereals late at night. You really want to go for something that obviously is on the healthy side and with just a little bit of milk.
Yeah. So then one of the questions then that really comes up is if you're sitting on the couch and you're watching TV or you're reading your book and you're thinking, I think I'll get a snack. The thing that's ideal to ask yourself is, what am I really hungry for right now? What do I really need? Which brings us back to our constant topic of meditation.
Constant, yeah.
Which comes in there. And then another topic that we've brought up a million times in here is the idea of, which I still haven't owned truthfully, even though we say it all the time, is really getting out of the mode of instant gratification and thinking about the future. There's still a part of me that's conflicted between being in the moment and that. Like, there's part of it I haven't figured out yet for myself, truthfully. But this was cool. The suggestion was to visualize yourself as you want to be in the future, and then time travel there when you have a craving. Actually go visit your future self. That's a future self that you like, and go. And it's a form of meditation. And spend time, sort of dialoguing with that person or hanging out with that person.
Oh, I like that idea. That's super sweet. Yeah, you just made me think about this whole thing about what am I really after in the moment. And one of the things that I got hit with is that I'm generally up, not because of hunger, but I'm up because of something else that popped into my brain, which is usually anxiety or angst about something. And so it really made me think about this whole thing about what am I after? And I know in that moment, I'm after a distraction from whatever it is that has kept me up or woken me up. And so again, where does it bring us back home to this whole idea of like, what can you sit with and really be with in the moment? And this whole idea of, if it is more that emotional thing, like, how do you really practice letting it pass? Oh, that's challenging.
So it sounds like the the goal is to practice letting it pass. I think that's a nice way to put it. And in the meanwhile, making some more strategic choices and planning accordingly so that those strategic choices are available to us.
Agreed. And for me, I'm going to take away that really make sure I try to keep all of those things that I tend to binge on late at night, keep them out so they're not available to me. That's going to be super important for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and if you guys have any other ideas, you know the drill. Please let us know.
Please.
Because we are very interested in these topics.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
So remember, subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, and you can now find us on SoundCloud. Remember, after you subscribe, make sure you review us, tell your friends, share everything.
Yep, make sure you like us. Like us on Facebook. Visit our webpage, youwon'tbelievewhatIate.com. And as always, please send us your audio files with questions and comments, suggestions, ideas for future episodes. Tell us what you ate. Give us ideas about snacking. Tell us what works and what doesn't work.
And as always, this podcast is supported by the awesome people who listen. So if you'd like to contribute, become a patron at patreon.com/youwon'tbelievewhatIate.